Greetings and welcome everyone to week 3, Walking as Vulnerability. So just want to invite us all, wherever we are, wherever this meets us, just to take a handful of really deep breaths at our own pace. Just bringing us here, letting our bodies and our hearts catch up. Breathing all the way in and all the way out. Breathing all the way in and all the way out. All that is living and moving and speaking around us, breathing that all the way in. All that is speaking and moving and living within us, breathing it all the way out. I'm going to start our invitation with a poem. This is one of my most cherished poems. I find that the words are so important, are so meaningful. They are not easy words. They are inspiring. They are made to be opening and deepening. So I'll read the poem, and we'll take a little bit of time of silence just after it. The Invitation by Orion Mountain Dreamer. It doesn't interest me what you do for a living. I want to know what you ache for, and if you dare to dream of meeting your heart's longing. It doesn't interest me how old you are. I want to know if you will risk looking like a fool for love, for your dream, for the adventure of being alive. It doesn't interest me what planets are squaring your moon. I want to know if you have touched the center of your own sorrow, if you have been opened by life's betrayals, or have become shriveled and closed from fear of further pain. I want to know if you can sit with pain, mine or your own, without moving to hide it, or fade it, or fix it. I want to know if you can be with joy, mine or your own, if you can dance with wildness and let the ecstasy fill you to the tips of your fingers and toes without cautioning us to be careful, to be realistic, to remember the limitations of being human. It doesn't interest me if the story you are telling me is true. I want to know if you can disappoint another to be true to yourself, if you can bear the accusation of betrayal and not betray your own soul. If you can be faithless and therefore trustworthy. I want to know if you can see beauty even when it is not pretty every day, and if you can source your own life from its presence. I want to know if you can live with failure, yours and mine, and still stand at the edge of the lake and shout to the silver of the moon, yes. It doesn't interest me to know where you live or how much money you have. I want to know if you can get up after the night of grief and despair, weary and bruised to the bone, and do what needs to be done for the children. It doesn't interest me who you know or how you came to be here. I want to know if you will stand in the center of the fire with me and not shrink back. It doesn't interest me where or what or with whom you have studied. I want to know what sustains you from the inside when all else falls away. I want to know if you can be alone with yourself and if you truly like the company you keep in the empty moments. Friends, beautiful humans, thank you for moving with me as I read the invitation. I wanted to just offer my own personal connection to vulnerability as a way, as a pathway, as a channel, as a part of this, that I don't want it to feel like it's just throwing a theme out there without knowing or without just sharing with you just how complex and heavy and often gut-wrenching it can be to feel and to live and to be exposed, to be truly seen for who we are, for who you are, for who I am, to allow what's really, as the poem denounces, as the poem notes, what do we ache for? What is our soul's longing? Can we be in the company we keep with ourselves in the empty moments? And that journey, the imperfection all around it. I spent months in 2006 at the bottom of my own barrel. I crawled at the bottom. I was in the fetus position for days at a time. I was crying and sometimes even groaning uncontrollably. I was suicidal for 12 weeks. I would leave in the middle of the night and I would walk to a busy road. This was while I lived in Ireland. I lived in Ireland for a year. And I was, for the first time, allowing what was true and what was real, specifically around my sexual orientation and being LGBTQIA, but also just being a sensitive person, being an artistic person, being a empathic feeling person in a male body, in a white male body, in a all the patriarchal pressure to be something other than that anything outside of that is less than, is weak, is anyway. And so within my unique end of rope reality in 2006, I crawled out wanting or trusting, not very much, but wanting and trusting even in little ways to live and to find a way to be seen fully. No more filtering or less filtering. No more masks, at least less masks. No more playing games or playing life by the strings that other people pull, or at least less of that. And so I struggled for a very long time until 2010 when I just knew my body needed to walk myself into authenticity and transparency and radical self-love and wholehearted, as Brene Brown speaks of, and you'll note I linked her TED Talk. It's such an important TED Talk, as she notes below, this wholehearted acceptance of vulnerability, not anymore as this devastating, gut-wrenching thing, but also not easy and not necessarily comfortable, but just necessary that our weaknesses and our imperfections as this moving and more opened, more exposed way of being on this planet, where I don't have it all figured out. And guess what? I won't. I won't. And brother and sister, everything in between, you won't either. Friends, I love her frame in the TED Talk about certainty. It's like when we fear And when we hold and cling onto shame, certainty can be a product of that to keep it all together. And so I'm not in judgment. I just long for so much, as someone who uses walking as a way of better loving ourselves and one another in this planet, that the relationship to our vulnerability, to our trembling, to our deep, deep truths, to our wounds, to our healing, to our becoming, to our allowing, and at least initially allowing ourselves to fully see ourselves, our deep heart, our deep truths, our deep pain points, our deep fears, our deep places of shame, our deep, deep anger. And the experimentation and the diversity of tools and experiences that we choose to move into, that we fall into, that we fumble into, to help us honor those spaces. And so I speak to you with so much grace and imperfection and humility. I speak to this because I've been at the bottom. I think I was about to share this earlier. I was sharing this earlier, that I would go in the middle of the night and I would walk to the edge of the busier streets, and I would ask God, Spirit, Nature to give me the strength to step in front of high-speed traffic. That my fear, and I love, again, just quoting some of Brené's words, this fear of belonging and connection, that I feared that I would not, that if I exposed my true self, if I exposed my imperfection, if I exposed my guts, that I would not find belonging and connection. These fundamental human needs. And I would have never had all those words for it back then. And so I more than anything, I find that this topic, again, as I've shared with the first two themes, this is an anchor theme. These interrelate, they connect, they weave with one another. We're gonna move into just a little bit of just guided walking, just modeling some of that for you. I hope that you are able to just, with grace and gently, invite these walking assignments into your movement this week and beyond. Consider the practices that are a part of it, the hand on the heart, and just back to these deeper themes of loving who we are, so that we can love others and this planet. And so the walking nature of this, where we are unhurried, there is movement, not only movement forward, but movement into the unknown, movement into uncertainty, movement into, I don't know what's around the next corner. I don't know what's behind that tree. I don't know who I'm going to run into. I don't know what memory or emotion or dream might surface as I continue to move my body and move things around. And so there's so much in our capacity to move in an unhurried way under our true ceiling. That can aid and guide and hold and heal and help us expose and see and be seen the ways that our deep, deep hearts want to be seen. So have grace on this invitation, sending peace to each of you, and I'm eager to hear from some of you that are feeling led to share what your experiences have been like. Okay, peace. Just moving and listening, moving and honoring, noticing what's in you, all the way in you, your deepest truths, deepest fears, deepest places of anger, deepest places of shame, hardship, heaviness, uncertainty, fragility, dreams, longings. As life moves around you, as the wind encircles you, be with your breathing, with your body as it is. Being mindful of the root definition, vulnerability coming from vulnus, V-U-L-N-U-S, Latin for wound, and all that can represent. Where have we been hurt? Where have we been wounded? And how do we move with it? How do we listen to it? How do we learn from it? How do we hold it? How do we honor it? How do we grapple with it? How do we cry with it? How do we rage and be okay with our rage as we sit in the fire of it? Grace and peace, grace and presence. No fixing, no hiding, or should I say, less fixing, less hiding, less controlling, less suppressing, less trying to be somebody we aren't. As we move into and walk into the tension of speed, of fitting in, of stuffing down all that we are, that we can hold our ground, that we can hold our whole being, our whole heart. Peace, as you are, as you are.